Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Night Garden. I'm Vampire Antihero, and this is Conquer Thy Fear Studio. Sometimes we have some really good conversations on stream. I don't like to port my VODs because I do have music playing, and I don't want them to cause issues or get muted. This one should be pretty safe because I was using Pretzel Rocks, but we'll see if it gets muted or not. I wanted to share the conversation. All of these are from my stream on Tuesday, August 16th. So, yeah, I hope you enjoy. I've been thinking actually of doing some. It's great when you can find an artist that will take your ideas and make greatness out of it. That's when you know they have a passion for art. I mean, it also depends on how much somebody vibes with you, too. You know, you could find somebody who's the best technical artist in the world and they don't know how to make your vision come alive, you know? It's all in how you connect with somebody and can understand what they're saying. Like, I will say, like, I have had people where like I haven't understood what they're saying exactly and haven't quite come up with what they wanted. But then, you know, I was always happy to like redo it or, you know, change things based on what they were asking for. So chemistry makes the world go round. Exactly, exactly. But yeah, I mean, I do my best. That's all I can do. And generally, people are happy with what I make, and that's a really good feeling. The first rendition of this comic, I started drawing it in May of 2020, or March of 2020. I was furloughed from my retail job and waiting because of the pandemic to go back. So I started doing concept art and stuff, and it was one of the first things I started drawing after a nearly 6-year hiatus. Like, I did a couple of challenges in between, but I had stopped drawing for close to 6 years. So, like, when I started the Patreon, my figures were really bad. I didn't have, like, I couldn't remember a lot of the things that count as art fundamentals and stuff like that. Like, it was pretty bad. My figures were super stiff. My proportions were always off. Like, it was not the right time to start a comic. But I quit that job in October of 2020 and haven't looked back, so mostly do commissions right now. I'm a freelance artist and have a lot of fun with it. I'm constantly learning and trying to improve, so I always aim to please. Like, it's always a really good feeling to hear how happy you are with stuff too. Like, sometimes I need the reminder too, because like I do work very hard, and I'm trying to improve every day. But sometimes you get lost in the idea of, oh, I can do this better, I can do that better, this isn't right, da 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 da, and then it starts kind of really bringing you down. And I know, like, a lot of us are streamers in here too, so like it's the same thing with streaming. Like, it's always like, what can I do? What can I do? There's more, da 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 da. And it's like sometimes you just gotta like step back and give yourself space and stop looking to do more and just listen to what people are saying to you and take the compliment, you know. It took me a long time to break myself of like, well, I'm glad you like it, but there's so much that I could do better. Like, you know, like, don't do that. Because you're putting yourself down as much as you're making somebody kind of look for those things, and then they're not going to work with you again, you know? That's how I feel with my custom business. I told the other day I may be taking my vision in a different direction. Hey, I mean, whatever you're doing, if it doesn't feel right, then you know, it's yours. You can do what you want with it, you know. And that's kind of, I feel like a lot of people who are small business owners and stuff like that, they struggle with stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, you're always going, well, maybe I could do this. There's other things that I could do that would make this better. Da 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 da. You know, like, it's I was just telling Ledge last week, like, I don't know what I'm doing, and like there are other things that I want to get started, and a lot of that comes from, at least in my opinion, a lot of that comes from there is no right or wrong direction you could go. There's no one to really tell you how things are going to work or what's going to happen or even how things are going to pan out if you make an investment or anything like that. And it's very scary. It is incredibly scary to own your own business. But as long as you don't lose sight of what your core is and why you're doing it, then it really doesn't matter what direction you go as long as you're happy doing it. The feeling of not knowing what I'm doing and which direction to take is scary, especially when you have invested in so much. Exactly. Like, I've started kind of sitting on ideas for a while because, like, if I don't, then I start putting a whole bunch of money towards something that, like, otherwise, like, I'll either lose interest in or, like, it's not ultimately the way that I want to go, or, you know, whatever the case. Like, I just recently decided that I think I'm not going to self-source my stuff. I'm just going to rely on, like, Redbubble and, you know, like, vendors to make things instead of having to make, like, t-shirts and stuff myself. Because, like, I'm already doing, like, I'm trying to make a comic, and I'm trying to do a YouTube series, and I'm trying to do, you know, all this other stuff. And, like, what time do I have to realistically add on to that to also make all of my products myself and, you know, like, try and, you know, do all of this other stuff that I haven't started yet. And there comes a point where you need to realize, like, you're one person, you know, there's certain things that you need to figure out what's important to your process and why do you do it. You know, like, that's why it's like, oh, you know, I'll look for vendors and stuff like that so that I can offer, you know, prints and merch and stuff like that, you know, without, like, without investing all this time and money into buying the materials myself, because then, you know, it's taken care of. If I don't like a vendor, then I can easily just say, look, I'm not going to work with you again. And then, you know, the artwork's still mine. The, you know, stuff that I'm putting in my merch shop and stuff are still mine. But someone else is taking care of, you know, the shipping costs and stuff for me. So it's all stuff that, like, you just gotta figure out what you're doing, you know. And when you do figure out what your core is, what, like, why you're doing what you're doing, then you need to narrow it down. You know, okay, so this is what I'm doing. Why? How am I going to do it? You know, like, one of the main things that I want to do is I want to get my artwork out there in order to make people feel less alone. I want people to know that anybody can make art with enough practice, with enough, you know, enough study, enough, just looking at things. And I also want people, like the fact that anybody can be an artist, the fact that, mental health is so important as well to me. Like, I want people to, feel less alone, when they're struggling with depression and anxiety. I want people to Vampire Anti-Hero Art Class 101. I am going, like, this week I was going to start working on it, but I wound up having to work on a commission. So next week I'm probably going to start putting together some videos for YouTube. I mean, I've been trying to work on YouTube for a while, but now that I know that people are interested in, like, learning how to draw from me specifically, like, I'll start putting the videos together. Because, anything that I can say, a million other people have said in a million different ways. Artists all generally follow the same kind of ideas and advice. But, like, the whole reason why I stream, is to connect with people and to make sure that, people don't feel alone. And it is how you present the information, for sure. And I'd like to think that I have a way of presenting things that people find easy to understand. My main issue with starting is just trying to figure out how to organize something, because, like, it's going to be big. It's a big project to put together a YouTube series. It's a big project to put together classes. And I'm trying to figure out where to start. But I have been thinking about it, and I have been working on that. Liam. This is the first time today, actually. Hello. Hello. Forced kitty break. As always, thank you to my lovely coffee patrons, Lovely Rosie T and Life is Great. I couldn't keep doing this without you guys. If you made it to this part of the video, thank you for watching. I hope I was able to motivate and inspire you today. If you like what I do, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the bell. I also have a Ko-fi where you can donate, subscribe to a monthly membership, or check out some merch for sale. You also get access to sketches, works in progress, and exclusive desktop and phone wallpapers. If you'd like to see more content, I regularly post on Twitter, and I'm live on Twitch 4 days a week. I hope you all have a fantastic day, and until the next time the sun goes down, keep yourself safe, drink your water, and do what you can. Love you all.